those of you that don't know, I've been on television here since the Civil War. The only guy that's been on television in Birmingham longer than me is a guy named Country Boy Eddie, and you don't even want to know who that is. If by chance you do, you've been here a long time. He did a local country music program in the morning for 37 years. I'll never forget this. We had a remarkable snowstorm here in 1993, the blizzard of 93. I worked on the mountain at the time, and we were stuck. I mean, we couldn't go anywhere. And guess who called me that Sunday night? Country Boy Eddie. And he couldn't come to work for the first time in 35 years. I had to host his program the next morning. That was the worst hour of local television ever. So, lessons learned. I'll warn you, I'm fairly passionate about this subject. So if I get all wound up, don't worry, it's just me. We had a Sentinel weather event here 4 years ago. The date was April 27th, 2011. Let me give you some numbers on this. I would assume most of you were here for this. And if you were not here, I'll go through the numbers. In one day, we had 62 tornadoes in the state. And understand, this is not unprecedented. I wrote a post on Medium this morning about how the national news media has they do a very poor job of covering weather. The Houston flood, the word I hear over and over is unprecedented. I dug up 32 flood events that were more significant than the one they just had. It's not unprecedented. It is a big story. This was a big story, but it's not unprecedented. A good analog to this event for us was April 3rd and 4th, 1974, the super outbreak of tornadoes. I was a senior in high school. I'm old. I've been here a long time. But let me just say this. That event changed my life. The school allowed me 3 days off to go volunteer. My hobby in 1974 was amateur radio. And you talk about geek stuff. There were no cell phones in 1974, but I had a car phone. I was on the cutting edge through ham radio. And they desperately needed our service to be stationed at these disaster sites to relay information back to the relief agencies. My first position was in Jasper at the People's Hospital that doesn't exist anymore, but the old hospital in Jasper was downtown. And I'll say this, my life changed that night. I saw, and for whatever reason, they put me in the emergency department. I don't know to this day why they did that. But I set my gear up in the air. We relayed information back to Birmingham. But the nature of the wounds of the people that came in there that night, I can close my eyes and I can see it. I've not talked about it publicly, and quite frankly, I've not talked about it privately. I had night terrors for about 3 years. I'm not wired to handle trauma or to be in battle or to be in combat. It was a very hard thing for me. And this brought back some of those night terrors, this event. Another analog event to this was March 21st, 1932. We have no idea how many people died from that event. But what I'm trying to say, this has happened before. I think the next time this happens, I'll be at Elmwood Cemetery, okay? They tend to happen every 40 years. Now, one might happen this fall. We don't know that, but that seems to be the time between these events. And this is the number that is unacceptable for anybody in this room. Nobody should accept that. Nobody in my enterprise, and you shouldn't either. And we've got to fix that. This is insanity. With the state of the science today, with the state of the warnings, in one day, 252 people died. These were precious people. Moms, dads, infants, little boys, little girls, college kids, people that live in the city, people live in the country, people that are high income, people that are low income. This crossed every demographic, socioeconomic line. In my opinion, the death toll that day should have been 30. In 30 cases, people did the right thing. It was just their day. But 222 people ought to be eating lunch with us right now. And that's the only number I'm focused on. I know there will be a day, and I think this is an appropriate thing for people in my science to celebrate the lives that were saved that day. At this point, I really don't care about that. I have no interest in talking about it. The only interest I have, it's that number and fixing that the next time it happens. The morning storms that started off the day, we didn't forecast them well the night before. All the conventional forecasting techniques failed. Numerical weather prediction, climatology experience, all the things we used just didn't work. But the warnings were very good for the morning storms. And by the way, the morning event as a standalone was a disaster. 5 people died, and 250,000 people had no power. And that really gave us problems for the big show later that day and that night because of the damage created by the morning storms and the power outages. And social media changed that day, and we'll talk about that if we have time. This is a map of all of the tornadoes that day, all 62. Most people here remember number 44, Tuscaloosa, Birmingham. A lot of people might recall some of the 5s. By the way, we had 3 EF5s that day. We had one, number 41, that hit Smithville, Mississippi, crossed over into Marion County, Alabama. It wiped that place out. Number 38 hit Phil Campbell, Alabama. It hit Hackleburg, Alabama. And number 50 was an EF5 in DeKalb County. By the way, anybody know the elevation of Lookout Mountain in DeKalb County? 1,900 feet. There's a lot of people in this state that think tornadoes will never, ever, ever happen where they live because there's a hill here and a valley here. That's insane. It doesn't matter about terrain for large tornadoes. It doesn't. It might for the small ones, but for these big ones, it doesn't matter. Number 50 happened at a place where most people think they never happen. We had a lot of 4s that day. The red tracks are EF4s. Marshall County, up there in North Alabama, had a swarm and a comma head. Those were smaller tornadoes, but it was really bad. I spoke at the Albertville Rotary Club last week up there, and they'll tell you it was like just being in gunfire. Bullets from hell is what they described it, having to go through that. So that's a map of them. Let me show you number 37. It's in a town called Coleman. Anybody? Y'all don't get out much, do you? Y'all look like a bunch of city slickers in here. Coleman is between Birmingham and Huntsville. You're looking at graphic violence. This is horrible. I don't sit around watching YouTube videos of this. I have no interest in that unless there's a specific research project we're working on. Some people watch this for hours. I don't. I have no interest in that. This is an EF4 tornado coming through downtown Coleman. It's live on television. I think this one stayed on camera for about 22 minutes. By definition, a tornado is a violently rotating updraft. Objects from below are lofted. And in a minute, you're going to see this tornado crossing US 31. US 31 is the main north-south thoroughfare through Coleman, along with Interstate 65. US 31 goes through downtown Coleman, and you'll actually see some buildings that some of you might know being lofted. These large objects are being taken up and thrown out. As it crosses Highway 31, it will hit the First Baptist Church of Coleman, hit the Coleman County Courthouse. Right over there, that's the tower by First Baptist Church. In a minute, the camera is going to be shifted over, and you'll see that tower collapse on live television. And anybody from Coleman will just look at this, and it is horrifying, understanding the territory. And by the way, one of the things we noticed in the tornadoes this day were these occasional horizontal vortices. Anytime you see those, the storm relative helicity is just unbelievable, off the charts for that to happen. And another anomaly, most Alabama tornadoes, we can't show you them. We need to, but we can't always. Many of our tornadoes are HPs instead of LPs, where it's wrapped in rain. But this is a multiple vortex tornado. But watch this tower here. You'll see the camera adjusting in just a minute, and you'll see that tower, once the camera adjusts, collapse. And again, that's right on US 31. Watch it collapse about right now. Tower collapsed. What you're seeing lofted now, this is First Baptist Church and the Coleman County Courthouse right here. And this was a tornado where there was an excellent warning. People had 47 minutes to go to a safe place. We can't always promise you that. But by golly, it worked. In this case, they got to a safe place. We called the hospital. We had great fear that people had lost their life, and they said everybody's fine. They said, we've got some people in here with cuts and scrapes, but everybody's going to be fine. This is the way that it should work. But later in the day, it just got a hand. This is Tuscaloosa. I don't have any joy in looking at this, and I'll tell you why in just a minute. This is the debris ball on radar. This is an EF4 tornado. There are huge, huge objects coming out of this thing. This is coming through Rosedale Courts. That's a development south of downtown Tuscaloosa. We had loss of life in here. The death toll in Tuscaloosa was 53, and this was very hard on me. Out of all of the ones we had that day, maybe this was the hardest. When I was 7, my father checked out. My father abandoned me and my mom. I'm a fatherless child. We lived in a small town in South Alabama called Greenville. We would move here when I started 5th grade. There were some wonderful people in this city that loved us and encouraged us, me and my mom. I have no brothers and no sisters, a family of 2 people. And knowing this city as I do, this was very painful to watch. This is ground video from John Brown and Mike Wilhelm. And these guys have been trained for 12 years to do this. Don't you dare get in your car during a tornado trying to get video like this unless you've been trained. We have reason to believe a University of Alabama student died trying to do just that, get some stinking YouTube, Google AdSense money, and he traded his life for it. Or maybe he'd get $400 or $500 if he got 500,000 views. It's not worth it. But the tornado in this case is moving away from John and Mike. They're in a very safe place. They know what they're doing. And again, you're seeing objects that are being lofted here. Many of these objects stayed aloft until Birmingham. If you were outside that day, objects were falling from the sky. It was surreal. It was eerie. You had parts of people's lives, parts of furniture, personal belongings from Tuscaloosa falling over Birmingham. That was the intense nature of the updraft of that storm. It is a long-lasting supercell storm. Some papers from Tuscaloosa were found in the western part of North Carolina. Remarkable. This is the aftermath of Tuscaloosa. And let me just say this. We don't fly our helicopter during severe weather like they do in Oklahoma. People say, well, they do it in Oklahoma City. Why don't you do it here? Well, the storms are different. They have LP supercells that are dry. We have HP that are wrapped in rain. The visibility is poor, and that is a direct threat to the life of the pilot. I will not put anybody's life in danger to do that. The minute the FCC allows us to use drones, we're good. That day is coming sooner than later. We are not allowed to use them by the government. As soon as that whole mess can be worked out, we're in. But we fly as soon as we can, and it's safe. For those familiar with Tuscaloosa, this is Interstate 359. And again, I have no thrill at looking at this. I really don't like to. In fact, I didn't go down 15th Street down there until June. We did storm survey work in Holt and Alberta City, and I stopped. I just didn't want to. But down here, in almost every business and every home, there was a good, safe place. People didn't get there. This is Rosedale Courts, and we did a very poor job of reaching low-income families. Poor, and we've got to fix that. We're experts in physical science. We're not experts in human behavior or social science. We have gone to social scientists to help us. We had loss of life here. A University of Alabama student died in the 2nd floor of these apartments. What were they doing up there? Goodness, get down low. I mean, this is not that hard. Did they not hear the warning? Did they hear it and ignore it? Did they not care? We have a lot of answers now we didn't have 4 years ago thanks to social science studies. And what I'm going to present today, it's some of the results of the studies that we've gone through. This is the neighborhood back behind my old high school. The University of Alabama football player Carson Tinker, the long snapper, his girlfriend Ashley Harrison was killed in the neighborhood we just flew over. That was a very tragic death. She was from Texas, very precious young lady, and she lost her life. We're coming out over University Place Elementary School. I know this building better than most of those kids down in there. I've been in there so many times teaching science. And by the way, I'm used to 3rd and 4th graders. This is kind of creepy. I'm not good with adults, all right? This is really creeping me out, all right? This is Forest Lake. For years, I worked across 15th Street at a radio station. That's how I worked my way through college. My first major down here was electrical engineering. I'm an old double E guy that changed later into meteorology. So we're coming out over 15th Street. This is stunning. Anybody familiar with 15th Street? Again, I didn't look at it until June with my own eyes, and I still couldn't believe it then because this was my world. This is US 82 up here, McFarland Boulevard. That was a Krispy Kreme donut shop right here. That's McFarland Boulevard. This was a Full Moon Barbecue up here. This is a Hobby Lobby shopping center. 52 people died here. I thought the death toll in Tuscaloosa should have been 9. So the physical science worked very well that day. The warnings were excellent for every one of these things. So why in the world was the death toll so bad? I didn't talk about this for 6 months. I didn't want to. I didn't know what to say. I went through every phase of grieving. I went through the anger and the depression. I went through all this. And after a while, you're going to come out of that with your sleeves rolled up and ready to go to work. This motivates me. I'm more energized now than I was 30 years ago. For the rest of my career, my job, it is to fix what went wrong here. So when this happens again, the death toll won't be so bad. And let me just say this, one thing we have learned. There are some people that don't care. There are some people that will not take responsibility for anything. We can't help them. I'm sorry. We can't help you if you're in that category. We have to put them aside. There are some people that think unless a government official drags them out of the house, puts them in an underground bunker, they will claim that they got no warning. I can't help them. And that gives us a little peace of mind in focusing on the majority of those people that do want help. And we'll talk about the things we've learned today. We're coming out over Holt and Alberta City. And let me just say this. Down here, a lot of Hispanics died. We did a very poor job, like low-income families, a very poor job reaching Hispanics. Shame on us. Every human life is precious. I don't care who you are. And we got to do a better job. We're trying to partner with some Spanish language radio stations to simulcast severe weather coverage, translate on the fly. Some things are in the works to try and fix that. For me, I think what helped me through this was helping families. We adopted a family. It was so overwhelming, this thing, that, and I just learned you can't save the world. You cannot save the world, but you can adopt a family. And after a few days, and let me just tell you what, with Twitter and Facebook and all this stuff, it just doesn't stop. If you follow me on Twitter, you know it doesn't stop, all right? So finally, we just had to put it all down, take a day off. Our son played high school baseball. He just graduated last week from Spann Park, but we took some of the baseball dads, went out in the country. Again, y'all look like a bunch of city slickers in here. That's Barton's Chapel. I bet you've never been there, have you? Y'all ever been to Walker County? This is near Cordova and near Sipsey and near Empire. We found a family of 11, mom, dad, 9 kids. And you know what? They were happy as could be. There's a great life lesson here. We walk around whining, moaning, griping, complaining about our circumstances. Come on. This kid was happy. You know why? He was alive. And his whole family was alive. That's all that matters. All that stuff that kid worried about the day before, it didn't matter. And we helped get them into a new house. They moved in the day before Christmas this year. And I'll tell you, their new house was a lot nicer than their old one. But that was very therapeutic for me. So real quick, I'm going to fly through some of these lessons learned here today. This is mainly for us, but I like to throw it out to you as well. For years, I thought if we showed quality radar images, people would do something. We've learned, no. You don't do much of anything. This is the Tuscaloosa Birmingham tornado. Over here, this is reflectivity. This is the energy return to the radar from the targets. Rain intensity. People are familiar with this. Over here, this is radial velocity. These are the velocities of the targets along radials coming out of the radar. Everything green is inbound. Everything pink and tan is outbound. And again, you are looking at unbelievable violence here. Now, I'd like to think y'all are a bunch of, come on, this is UAB. Y'all are smart. I got a lot of people in here smarter than me. Our son wants to do medical school down here. He's smarter than me. I like being around people smarter than me. So where's the tornado? Yeah, it's right here. Y'all had it. Come on, you're there. Most people, you know what they're drawn to? They're drawn to red. They see that and they'll go, ooh, look at all that red. Come on now. What is it with red? This is just a core of heavy reflectivity. This is hail and very heavy rain. Here's a hook echo, and at the end of the hook echo, what is that thing? Starts with a D. Debris ball. Yeah, you're cheating. I have a meteorology guy in here who's smarter than me. That's a debris ball. That's the radar beam reflecting off objects in the tornado. Boards, bricks, glass, nails. This was part of the city of Tuscaloosa in the air. I'm telling you, looking at this is horrifying to me. And over here, the tornado is right here. Green is inbound. Pink and tan is outbound. That's the couplet right here. That's the debris ball right there. But what we've learned through research, when most people look at that, guess what they see? They see a bucket of spilled paint. They don't see anything. And you're not trained to be a radar meteorologist. That's not your job. That's our job. We thought that you could look at that and make a judgment call and maybe listen to our advice, but we've got to do better than that. This is the Tuscaloosa Tornado 40 minutes before it got into town. These two guys are heroes, the guys that got this video. John Oldshoe and his partner Ben Greer. They're down here in rural Greene County, and let me tell you what, that was a hard shoot. They're shooting through pine trees. This is tough. But a lot of things happened when that thing got on camera. And this is live on television, live, 40 minutes. I tell young people, what's important is not what you say when a tornado is moving through a city. What's important is what you said 40 minutes ago. That's the big deal. And what happened here, this enabled us to do a lot of things. And by the way, we had another tornado just that large down at the same time. This was very hard. There is no manual. There is no book on how to do this. This enabled us and the Weather Service to call a tornado emergency for the cities of Tuscaloosa and Northport. If you know anybody there, call them or text them right now. You have a son or a daughter at the University of Alabama, call them, text them now. Tell them to get into a safe place. This is urgent, serious, life-threatening business. And I will tell you today, we know for a fact there are people walking around today because of that video. And we have to do a better job of getting more cameras on tornadoes because people will react to that. That is a large, violent wedge EF4 tornado in the middle of nowhere, way before reaching Tuscaloosa. Everybody focuses on the video, the thing coming through Tuscaloosa. That's what's on all the TV stuff and everything. That's not it. In my business, in the warning business, this is the important shot. And we have to do a better job of training more people and get more equipment out here. I got cameras everywhere, but I'll never have enough cameras to see every tornado. And let me just say this. Most tornadoes around here you cannot see. We can't do this. Because a lot of our tornadoes don't happen during the day. When do they happen? At night. Many of our tornadoes, in fact, most all of them are rain-wrapped. Can't see them, even if it's in broad daylight. Hey, what are these things down here? Trees. You live in tree heaven, okay? Alabama, we got more trees than any place. Pine tree, this is pine tree heaven right here. They block your view. And also we have the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains, the terrain, you can't see most of these things. But I will commit to you, we're going to do everything in our power to get more cameras on these because we know people react to them. Another lesson learned, and I don't know, and if there's any this is where maybe me and the culture of this state clash a little bit, but I will tell you, I'm going to fight this fight until the day I die. The siren mentality kills people, and I hope that you don't have one. Outdoor warning sirens are a product of World War I. The last time I checked, this is 2015, like 100 years later, and so why are we relying on these things? I can close my eyes and I can see Christina Heichelbeck's face. I don't need to look at this next picture. I can see her face. Christina was a brilliant 16-year-old student at Shades Valley High School in the IB program. This was not April 27, 2011. This was the next year, January 23rd, 2012. We had a tornado at 4 a.m. that came through the Birmingham suburbs of Center Point and Clay. Christina lived in Clay, and she died that morning at 4 o'clock. At the time, I had a 16-year-old son. At the time, the head of the National Weather Service in Birmingham had a 16-year-old daughter. This hit us hard. And this is the one that really got us in this mode here, after we talked with social scientists that proved what we thought was true. The grieving father said the family didn't hear the what? Come on! You're going to think you're going to hear a siren in your house at 4 o'clock in the morning? No! And we did a very poor job in being bold and telling people that. We were just afraid we were going to make somebody mad with the emergency management agency that spent all this money on these sirens. We might offend somebody. It killed her. That is the siren mentality. I don't know what it is. People in the state are born with this notion that you should hear one of these things. No. And I know what you're thinking. Aren't you kind of trashing the parents? Hey, if Daryl and Carol were here, they would look at you right now with tears streaming down their cheeks, begging you to stop, thinking you're going to hear a siren. And maybe you think, well, I hear those things all the time. No, you don't. You're going to hear one at 4 o'clock in the morning during a raging storm and you're asleep. It's not happening. Now, they do serve a purpose. I'm not here to say let's take them down. It's not what I'm saying. They serve a purpose. They reach a limited number of people. Where? Outside. Fine. They're great. That's wonderful. But it is a last desperation resort way of getting warnings. Yet most people in this state, that is their prime way of getting warnings. That killed countless people April 27, 2011. People thinking they're going to hear some magical air raid siren. We got to stop that. So where do we go from here? Well, this is the baseline. Everybody in here needs more than one way. And I'm not talking siren. I'm talking two ways that's not a siren. A siren is a desperate last resort. The baseline, it's this thing. Everybody in here ought to have one. If you don't, go buy one. I don't sell them, but you can go buy them at all kind of places. What is that? It's a weather radio. They're not that expensive. Cost about $30. They have battery backup. The power goes out. Are they perfect? Nope. That's why you need at least two sources, not one. But they work very well. They're very reliable. We have one at my house. My wife, I've not been home during bad weather in 35 years. We've been married 35 years. I'm never home. I don't call her. I don't say, hey, wait, I got to make a phone call here. I can't do that. This is our primary way at the house. Everybody should have one. Understand there are people in this state that can't afford a $30 radio. We've got to do a better job of getting radios programmed in their hands. And we have done a lot of that through grants and other creative methods. I think we've come a long way. What's the second way? Now, I know most of you in here, you got that slick phone, don't you? Come on, you're checking the tweeter right now, aren't you? Checking that Facebook, Instagram. These apps are marvelous. Now, let me just say this. Your cell phone comes without doing anything else by default with something called wireless emergency alerts. Anybody got one of those? I was asleep one night I only sleep like 3 hours a night. I don't sleep. In fact, I am only 25 years old. This is what you look like when you never sleep. Really, I don't sleep. This is not going to end good for me. I'm just telling you. I've not slept right since I was in high school. But during that little brief time when I sleep, that thing scared me half to death. It was an Amber Alert. You get 3 messages automatically on your phone. Amber Alerts, flash flood warnings, and tornado warnings. Now, here's the problem with that. We don't know how it works. There's a man behind the curtain we're not allowed to see, and I don't know if that's reliable. I know how this couple of apps work, and again, I have no financial interest in any of these, none. I'm not here selling anything. I do know the guy that developed this, and they've changed the name. It's actually now Weather Radio by WDT. WDT stands for Weather Decision Technologies. When people search for IMAP, it came up with these email programs all the time. You know, it's an email platform delivery. But it's Weather Radio by WDT. It's great. I have it on my phone. These phones know where you are. It's got a GPS chip. And if you're in the warning, you get the message. And if you're not, you don't. And if all you want is a tornado warning, that's all you get. It's marvelous. My wife and our 2 boys have this, and it works great. We like another one called My Warn. They do the same thing. You can just take your pick. I think IMAP or Weather Radio is $5 or $9. They had to spend a lot of money. And the one thing I like about these guys, I challenged them. I said, I'll promote your product. I like it. But I dared them to give it away one day free after April 27th. And they did. And it cost them a lot of money. And I like that. I like that about this company. So a weather radio and a smartphone app. All right, we got to hurry through this. You guys, I don't like talking long. Another lesson learned is this. People don't understand how the warning system works. I thought everybody did. Most people think we warn by counties. We stopped doing that 8 years ago. We don't warn by counties. We warn by geometric shapes called, thanks for playing, polygons. What do? You respect the polygon. You're in it, you do something. And if you're not, you're fine. It's not that hard. But here's the problem. People still think we use counties. A couple of tornadoes here on radar. 2 velocity couplets. We have one. This is down here in, I love this pointer, by the way. This is awesome. See, y'all come with great gifts. This is great. So this is a velocity couplet in Hale County. This is around Sawyerville. I bet you've never been there, have you? Have you really?
I'm from Greensboro.
Really? All right, so you know the territory. That was a bad tornado, by the way. That was a bad deal down there. Another tornado was near Pondville. What's interesting to note, we had a tornado in about that same place on this date in 1973. That day changed my life. I was ending my junior year in high school. A horrible tornado came through Brent, which is a town right down here in Bibb County, and it killed 5 people, took out the old National Weather Service radar site down there. It was stunning. I wrote a post on the blog about that this morning. But anyway, hey, are these 2 warnings in the shape of counties? No. But we'll say, we got a tornado warning for parts of Hale and Perry and Bibb and Tuscaloosa. But people hear Tuscaloosa County, and people up here in the cities of Tuscaloosa and Northport, they're doing things that are, they're shutting things down, going in the hall, doing all their tornado stuff, and they don't need to be doing anything. There is no tornado warning. There is no danger for the cities of Tuscaloosa or Northport here. And a lot of bad things are coming from this. Number one, it gives the illusions of a false alarm. And we'll talk about the false alarm rate here in just a minute, but and people say, well, it's better to be safe than sorry. There is vast room for error. Tornadoes are tiny when it comes to a county. We've never had a tornado outside of Polygon before. There is no need to do anything. And we have things happening like hospitals shutting down surgeries. This is dangerous, all right? And we've got to remind people here that we don't, if you hear that your county name in a warning, check to see if you're in the Polygon. If you're in it, do something. And if you're not, go about your business. Same thing happened up here in Birmingham for tornado number 2. A tornado warning in effect for parts of Bibb, Shelby, Jefferson counties. That little bitty sliver of Jefferson County is all this in, like the Tuscaloosa County thing, that little part right there. That's it. That did not include Birmingham. Yet all these people up here were doing the same thing. Going in the hall, rolling patients out there, nursing homes. We understand the complexity of what happens during a tornado warning, but there was no need for that because Birmingham was never under a tornado warning. So again, when you hear that you are under a warning for your county, check to see if you're in or you're out. All right. I'm not going to talk a lot about this. People use social media. Some of you might think it's horrible. Some of you might think it's from Hades or something. You don't touch it. I understand that. It is a great way for us to communicate and engage with our audience. I use it extensively, but there's some limitations. And I'll make one point today. Google Plus and Instagram and Twitter, Facebook here. The one thing about Facebook that I think you need to understand is this. By the way, I checked it this morning, my Facebook page. You know what it says? 228,000 people like me. I know that's not true. That many people probably hate me. You ever cut off Dancing with the Stars before for a tornado warning? I have a little email folder that says hate mail. If I ever think I'm something special, I just cruise right over there and I know how bad off I really am, all right? We cut off an NBA game one time and one guy said I should have been aborted with a coat hanger. This is the kind of stuff, it gets brutal. And look, I don't mind. Y'all can talk ugly about me and all day I'll just love on you. That's all right. I can deal with the trolls, haters, and know-it-alls. That is part of my job, okay? But don't you talk about my mama now. Don't make me come over there. The last time I answered my phone at work was in 1998. Here's a true story. Now, I'll answer this phone here because my wife calls and my boss. That's all it called this thing. But at work, I don't know what my number is. I don't know where the phone is, and I don't know how to get voicemail. The last time I checked it was in 1998. This woman chewed me out. She said, "You cut off my story." Most of you have no idea what that means. I do. If somebody ever says you cut off the story, then you cut off somebody's soap opera. That woman started using really bad talk, bad cussing, bad, nasty, ugly. And then she started talking about my mama. Now, that's when you've got a problem with me. I'm going to come right over there and we're going to straighten that out. All right? Anyway, I'm chasing a bad rabbit here. This is the Facebook thing here. Why do you think people like that page? They don't like me. They want to get severe weather warnings in their news feed. The organic reach of Facebook is down to about 2%. So if I have 228,000 people that like me, just a couple thousand are going to get that warning, and that's it. Facebook wants us to pay them. And that's fine. It's business. That's cool. I mean, that's just the way it works. But it's not a good way of getting warnings. My point is this. Do not rely on your Facebook news feed for tornado warnings. That never has and never will work. There is no filtering in Google+, Twitter, or Instagram, or some of the other platforms. But those are not really designed for warning. You follow me in the Spann Twitter account. You get that page in your phone will blow up. You don't want to do that. Get a warning app. Get Weather Radio by WDT or MyWarn. But we love the two-way engagement. Let me tell you something. I can get a picture from anywhere I want during a severe weather episode. If I need a picture from Sawyerville or from Geiger or from Ethelsville or from East Aboga, I put it out there and within seconds I've got 5 pictures. They don't really know what they're looking at, but I do. It's marvelous. We love the engagement and the two-way conversation. People died April 27th as a result of this. I'll talk 5 more minutes and I'll stop. We think most people in Alabama know where to go. We really do. Where do you go? Well, number one, you're never in a car. Never. That is a death trap. What's the other death trap? Mobile homes. Away from municipalities, what percentage of Alabamians live in mobile homes? About 71%. That's okay. It offers affordable housing. Look, I'm an advocate of the mobile home industry, manufactured housing, but during a tornado, it's a death trap. You have one rule. You go, you get out. And the same thing for cars. People understand that. And people in site-built homes know you want to go on the lowest floor, near the center, away from windows. Small room. I think people know that. But here's the problem. We have not done a good job. We've done a very poor job of reminding people wherever they go, they have to have a little kit of stuff, like helmets for everybody. One of my best friends is Matthew Seals. His 8-year-old boy was killed in a tornado in 1998, April 8th. The family was lofted. The way people die in strong, violent tornadoes, it is horrible. Families are lofted. People are lofted. While you're aloft, debris and the shrapnel in the tornado will create wounds to the skull region that often will kill you before you come back down. The physician here that treated Nathan Seals, the 8-year-old child, said if he would have had a helmet on, he'd be alive today. He'd be just fine. He'd be a 24-year-old young man. All it takes is a batting helmet, a bicycle helmet. And again, every human life is precious. People think, well, that's just for kids. No, it's for you and me. I'm some old guy. Let me tell you what, if I had a tornado situation and I was going to the safe place, I would put one on. In fact, there was a wonderful peer-reviewed study from UAB that proves this. It works. Our 2 boys played high school baseball, or one played high school, one played, Little League. We probably got enough batting helmets for the whole state. I mean, bicycle helmets, they all work. And by the way, for infants, if you could put them in a car seat, that's much better. And again, there's peer-reviewed research to show that. Why do you think we ask people to have an air horn in their pocket? Portable air horn. You can buy these at Walmart, Target. Yeah, exactly. Many people bled to death in fields April 27th because the first responders could not find them. They were injured. They had been lofted. They came down. They could not verbally communicate because of the nature of their wounds, but they could have squeezed the trigger on an air horn. First responders have been trained to listen for these things. Everybody in your house should have one in their pocket, and if they are taken aloft after they land, and they might be 100 or 150 yards from that house in a field, they can hit that air horn. We know that people bled to death. Again, I've got case studies in almost every situation where somebody died. An alternative is a whistle. I don't like that because it requires air that you might not have. An air horn, you can press that button. Hard-sole shoes. Now, y'all are city slickers. I am from Greenbow, Alabama. Y'all ever heard of Forrest Gump? Really, Greenville and Greenbow, it's kind of the same thing. When I go home, I tend to take my shoes off. Some people had their feet amputated, April 27th. When you are seriously injured, sometimes you're in shock and all you know to do is to walk. Let me tell you something. All the people that work in these hospitals were heroes that night. I dabble in healthcare. I am the chairman of the board of a large tertiary care hospital here. My hospital is Trinity Medical Center. We're in the process of moving to Highway 280. It's a very busy year, but I understand healthcare to some degree, and there were so many heroes here at this hospital, so many. I don't think they ever were thanked DCH in Tuscaloosa. You know how many people they treated that night? 1,100. They had no water, no commercial power. It was unstinking. They said people were walking from Alberta City like zombies, bleeding to death. All they were doing, they were walking toward a light up on that hill. But here's the thing, as people were walking, those that didn't have shoes, their feet were being shredded. And some lived, but they had to have their feet amputated, at least one foot, and in some cases, both of them. If you put on hard-sole shoes, that will prevent that problem. And again, you can buy these at a Target or a Walmart. They're not that expensive. And there's many other things as well. But those are the three big things we've learned in social media or social science research that people need to do. A couple of things, and I'll stop here because I've gone on too long. Every time we have a severe weather threat, what's the one question you think people ask? They say, will this be like April 27th? And I used to answer, and of course the answer is no. Those are generational. They happen about every 40 years. But I don't answer that anymore. Here's the deal. All it takes is one tornado, one in the whole state. And if that comes down your street, guess what? That's your April 27th. Doesn't matter if there's not 62, if there's just one. Ask the family of Christina Heichelbeck. Daryl and Carol will tell you our April 27th was January 23rd, 2012. So I don't know when the next generational event will be, but inevitably we're going to have a lot of these severe weather. But this is Alabama. This is not odd. I mean, goodness. We live in this strange world where people just hear things that aren't true. Tornadoes have always happened here. They always will. It is the nature of geography and where we happen to be in relationship to the Rockies, the Gulf of Mexico, and the Appalachians. We have two tornado seasons here. What are they? Spring and what? Fall. Every time we have a tornado in November, December, the news media says, rare tornado strikes Alabama. We had a tornado on Christmas Day in Mobile. And everybody went, ooh, this is not supposed to happen on Christmas Day. That's the tornado season here. March, April, May, November, December. But they can happen any month of the year. Those are the core months, and we have to be ready. So everybody, the core things you learned today. Number one, have a way of getting the warning, and it's not some stinking siren. You're going to have a weather radio and a smartphone app. Number two, you're going to understand how these warnings work. And you hear that you're in a warning, Jefferson County, you're going to find out where that polygon lies. And if you're in, you do something, and if you're not, you're fine. You're going to tell your family where you're going, and when that spot, you're going to have all this stuff we talked about, the helmets and the air horns and the hard-sole shoes. Never be afraid of tornadoes. They're rare. They don't happen a lot, but they can. And one more thing, and I'll be through. So many people around here think tornadoes only happen in Birmingham, in Oak Grove, Rock Creek, Sylvan Springs, McDonald Chapel, Pratt City, and Edgewater, and Pleasant Grove. Because, ooh, they had one in 2011. Ooh, they had one in 1998. So people that might live in Bessemer, or, hey, we had one in Bessemer last year. Or people that live in Irondale or in Gardendale or in Pelham, they say, well, hey, we're fine. And I understand that's human nature. If you do a study of tornado climatology in the state that goes back 100 years, your eyes will be opened. In the 1930s, where do you think most of them happened? Shelby County. And at the time, very few people lived down there. Our doomsday scenario, a tornado gets on the ground at the Bessemer Airport, comes across Russet Woods, South Shades Crest Road, comes down, hits Hoover High School and the Hoover Metropolitan Stadium, comes right down Highway 150, takes out that big Walmart, takes out the River Chase Galleria. The trajectory would take it along Interstate 459, takes out Briarwood Presbyterian. The Colonnade, it takes out the Summit, keeps on going through Mountain Brook and Irondale, and that would be a disaster, we think, where the loss of life could even exceed those numbers because people in that zone think that tornadoes don't happen here. I'm serious. I had one guy at a Rotary Club, he said, I appreciate what you say, but we don't have tornadoes where I live. And I said, why? And he said, ever since they built Interstate 459, they quit coming through. And I'm thinking, well, let's just build interstates around every big city and we're fine. So I hope it's a long, long time, but if you follow the stuff we talked about, they will be fine.